Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, October 13th. Today we will continue to have breezy winds over parts of southwest and central Utah, and a few showers popping up possibly in northeast Nevada down into central and eastern Utah ahead of a weak area of low pressure in central areas of the Great Basin. This low slowly tracks eastward with the potential for some isolated showers or thunderstorms in eastern Utah tomorrow and continuing on Tuesday. We also have another approaching strong area of low pressure that will allow winds to start increasing on Tuesday up in central Idaho, and these winds will spread east and south through the week. We've really had no precipitation or lightning over the last 24 hours, and very light initial attack yesterday with 8 fires for 2 acres. However, still continued growth on our large fires. Over the last 7 to 14 days, we've had nearly no precipitation and well below normal precipitation for the time of year across the Great Basin. Our ERC percentile map shows that well, where many areas are above the 80th or even 90th percentile over the eastern half of the Great Basin, along the Sierra Front and into parts of central Idaho. And a couple of looks at our ERC charts. You can see up in central Idaho, really all across the Great Basin, ERCs are near or at records for the time of year, but all areas will be trending steadily downward as we have this strong area of low pressure moving in, and we are expecting some significant moisture in some areas of the Great Basin, so we will see these ERCs really drop in all areas. Obviously, they will drop more in areas that see that precipitation. Otherwise, cooler temperatures and higher humidity will occur. Our satellite image from this morning shows that weak area of low pressure in northern and central Nevada. This will slide slowly eastward as this large trough of low pressure off the west coast continues to approach the region. So for today, again, we've talked about those isolated showers, otherwise dry conditions, and those breezy winds over parts of southern and central Utah. So we do have some high risk for that with those lower relative humidities. And you can see our humidity today is lowest over the southern half of the Great Basin, where RHs will be in the single digits to low to mid-teens, a little bit higher in the higher terrain of Utah. And we will see continued dry conditions in the north, but relative humidity in that 18 to 25% range. Otherwise, those wind gusts you can see will be most breezy in southwest and central Utah, but even then, wind gusts between 25 and 30 miles per hour. Looking at temperatures, we will see temperatures generally near normal across the northern half of the Great Basin or a few degrees above normal, still a little bit warmer in eastern and southern areas, and you can see that shower potential very isolated today. As we move into Monday, that low just tracks a little bit further to the east, but really dominated by high pressure. So continued moderate significant fire potential. No high risk for Monday as those winds will start to drop off in the south, although we could see some areas with gusts around 25 miles per hour. And you can see that here. We will see higher humidity in Utah, which certainly will be helpful. And we will see some of those gusts continuing in Utah or the Arizona Strip, but the relative humidity really comes up with that area of low pressure moving in. So again, no high risk for those winds. Otherwise, continued dry over northern and western areas, but winds certainly much lighter. Temperatures will tick up a few degrees as that ridge really dominates, so still remaining above normal. And we will see that shower potential mainly over central and eastern Utah, maybe a little bit better coverage than today, so certainly could see some isolated lightning strikes. Then as we move into Tuesday, that low continues to slide to the southeast, keeping that moisture still over eastern Utah, but we will start to see the winds pick up ahead of the main trough in central Idaho, so we do have some higher risk as those southwest winds pick up. Relative humidity will remain in the teens across Nevada and then even dry out a bit up in southwest and central Idaho as that trough moves in and those winds pick up. And you can see many of those gusts between 25 and 30 miles per hour. Otherwise, higher humidity across much of Utah. Temperatures will continue to rise as that warm air gets pushed up out ahead of the trough before we really start to see some of those decreases later this week. So again, temperatures still well above normal and that minimal moisture still over southeast Utah. 3-day precipitation, really anything in Utah will produce some light amounts of precipitation, but anything still fairly spotty, but it should be enough to increase humidity even in areas that don't see the rainfall. As we move into Wednesday, this is where the trough really starts to move in, so we will start to see that moisture move into northern areas along with stronger winds. We will have to watch some central areas of the Great Basin as those winds pick up. Maybe even over eastern Idaho before the moisture moves in, but we'll continue to watch that. But we will see some windy conditions. But again, cooler temperatures, higher humidity, and some showers in the north. As we move into Thursday, the low really starts to push in, so more precipitation and cooler temperatures and higher humidity. A lot more of our geographic area in the west and north dropping into the yellow, which is still low risk of a large fire. But then as that low really starts to track south, this is where we see more significant moisture towards Thursday and Friday for the eastern half of the Great Basin. And so we will see some areas dropping to a little risk of large fire just with that moisture moving in. We could have many other areas turning green here on our 7-day as we go forward, but we're being a little bit cautious up north because we'll see what kind of moisture we see before that low really drops south. But otherwise, still some very strong winds with this system really through the end of the week, even with the moisture increasing and the cooler temperatures and the precipitation. Expect some pretty strong winds with this trough. And then those conditions continue on Saturday as that low remains over Southern California with this moisture wrapping around the south. So again, expecting more areas of green, but we'll probably see that progression as we go through the week. The 7-day total precipitation, definitely some impressive amounts for Utah. Some of these could be even a bit higher depending on how this system comes in. It does look like the bulk of the heavier precipitation and more widespread wetting rains will be over the eastern half of the Great Basin, could be even into Wyoming. But we will see some of those wetting rains back into central Idaho and then some lighter precipitation in Nevada as well. So most areas will at least get some light precipitation, with the exception of maybe southern and parts of central Nevada. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from October 20th through the 26th, shows generally warmer and drier down south with some systems moving across the north. So definitely, hopefully, some better news for Idaho and Wyoming, but we'll see how that plays out. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.